My name is Christian Ray, and I moved halfway across the country to build a blacksmithing forge from the ground up so that I could be part of the centuries-old tradition of making beautiful and lethal masterpieces out of metal. It hasn't been easy, but here we are. This is Ronin Blades. Hello viewers! Welcome back to Ronin Blades. Today, I'm going to be answering a very important question. A question so many people have asked me, I've lost count. A question that I myself have failed to answer. How long does it take to make a knife? I've never been able to answer that because each piece is different, and frankly, I've never taught myself. But today I will. Today I'm finally going to answer the question, how long does it take to make a knife? So ready, and go. Our material is cut, and we are off to the races. Forge is heating up, we're underway. I'm going to go with a full tang survival knife. It'll actually be a lot quicker and easier. I don't have to worry about a complicated handle construction. Pop on 2 scales, we're done. You may have heard of 5160 screw steel. Today, I'm using 52100, which I always thought was 5160 is a badass older brother. It makes for great knives. Really tough, really durable. It's going to be good. Yes, 52100 is stronger, tougher, reliable, and that's apparent in how it forges. 52100 needs to be hot, hot, hot in order to be moved. This makes drawing it out pretty time consuming, but overall rewarding, and soon I have it drawn out completely, meaning I can move on to the handle. I use the anvil horn to put in 2 finger wells. Full tang knives need to fit into the hand, and the finger wells helps index the fingers. I then move on to the tip. Our knife will have a clip point, which is the kind of point most Bowie knives have. The method I use to get a clip point involves dropping the spine of the blade all the way down, sort of like what you'd find in a traditional Viking sax. I then move on to the beveling. This is where our tip begins to flourish. The physics of the beveling process causes the side not being beveled to curve backwards. We correct this to get a straight knife everywhere but the tip, which gradually curls back, giving us a clip point. We then use our good old-fashioned square-headed hammer to even out the hammer marks. And our rough forging is complete. It's been about an hour and 25 minutes since we started, and while our piece is cooling, I'll take you through our handle materials. These homemade acrylic scales are called the Shipwreck. They feature a light blue bottom, Banksia pod pieces, and a clear top. These scales go on either side of the full tang construction. They're held in place by epoxy and pins. It's very simple and very strong. They're a little on the thick side, so I'm going to have to grind them down a lot, which I can only do once they're actually attached to the tang. So we have to wait. Our weighting finished, it's off to the grinder. I use a 36 grit belt to complete our pre-grind and our profile. But it's then that I run into a snag. Our steel is too hard to drill through, so we're going to have to anneal it to make it softer. Annealing is the opposite of quenching. It means we cool off the steel as slowly as possible in order to soften it up. We got our knife cooling off in our perlite here. It's going to cool it off very slow, get it nice and annealed, very soft, soft enough to drill through. But it's going to take about an hour. At least that was the plan. Unfortunately, our tough as nails 52100 is still too tough to drill after annealing, so I have to punch it. This is definitely not the way I wanted to do it. The punch creates holes way bigger than my pin stock. Not only that, but it moves the metal in the handle around, so I have to reshape our handle. And I had to forge it again, which means we gotta wait again for it to cool off. See you in a bit. Crying over spilled milk will have to wait, because it's on to heat treatment. Heat treatment of 52100 steel is a lot different than 5160. It involves multiple quenches, at a yellow temperature, at an orange temperature, and a red temperature. after which we heat it up yellow again to get the final quench before moving on to our tempering process.
And there you have it. Catchphrase pending. Now the first time I heard about how you're supposed to heat treat 52-100 steel, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was complete nonsense. Whenever you quench something multiple times, you increase all the stresses on it, you increase the chances of warpage, of crackage, and of breaking. But every time I've done it, the pieces remain straight as an arrow, there's no cracks, nothing. It just goes to show how different the alloys of steel can be.
Soon we have our knife tempered, and it's back to the grinder. As I sharpen our knife, I'm not going to a too high of grit. Higher grits heat up the steel faster, and the last thing I want to happen is have our temper ruined, which means I have to heat treat all over again.
I'm moving on to my handle construction now. I have drilled and measured our scales, and to address the issue of the huge drift holes in our handle, I'm just going to fill them with epoxy. It'll fill up all the gaps and create another layer of mechanical connection. So we will have steel, epoxy, brass, epoxy, steel. 5 layers total. I think it'll work out.
And it does. Soon our handle is clamped and drying, and it's back to the grinder one last time to shape down our handle. I take my time and go all the way up to 800 grit to ensure a comfortable grip.
Unfortunately, we have run out of daylight. I'll have to mark down our time and start up again tomorrow. I'll see you in the morning. Well, I'll see you in the morning. You'll see me in like a second.
And just like that, I'm back on the grinder. I use a Scotch-Brite belt to bring a polish to our blade. It's then off for a very special sharpening phase. I use these professional-grade Arizona oil stones that go from 600 to 1000 to 3000 grit. Once oiled, using these stones gets any knife to a razor-sharp finish. I then file in some versatile serrations at the base of the blade. Then it's off to the polishing wheels and finishing oils, and then our work here is done.
And there you have it. A full tang, clip point, integral butt capped, and serrated survival knife. Made of 52-100 high carbon steel. And it came out great. It is sharp, it's straight, it's sleek. But that's not what we're here to find out. We all know I can make a fantastic looking knife. What we didn't know is how long it takes me to make a fantastic looking knife. And that time is 8 hours and 16 minutes. I guess that's pretty much it. That's the answer. 8 hours, 16 minutes for a full tang survival knife start to finish. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please, if you have a suggestion for future episodes, leave it in the comments, because I'm running out of ideas. I'll see you next time.
Ha! The fun one.